This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, enjoying the sunset here in Puerto Escondido from my balcony. Today I'd like to compare or mention some differences between Mexico and the Philippines. I'm going to cover medical, safety, COVID-19, foods, infrastructure, language, per capita income, cost of living, dating, and passport power. And while I do that, I'll show you pictures of both the Philippines and Mexico, but I wanted to make a couple comments with while the sun sets over my shoulder before I get started with that. Just some things I've noticed in general. It's nice being in a city that's right on a big, beautiful beach. For example, I just flew in from Dumaguete in the Philippines, and there are some beaches there, but you have to get on your scooter and ride to them. They're not walkable from where you live in most places in the Philippines. There are exceptions, but if you're on the east or the west coast of Mexico, you're often walking distance from a beach. Not always true, but it's more likely. The other thing you'll notice is that when you go to a beach in the Philippines, you're riding a ferry and you're often going to like a white sand beach, which is like world-class white sand beach, turquoise waters. And here, at least on the Pacific side, you know, the water is more like a California water. It's not quite as beautiful for pictures and whatnot. Although in the south of Mexico, here where I am, it's a little bit more blue. And the sand is a little more, you know, not as white. It's a little more tan or brown color. The other thing you'll notice when you come into Mexico is there is fewer expats around. Now, there are exceptions to that. But in a place like this is a Mexican city. You'll see more Mexican tourists coming in from Mexico City or Oaxaca or whatnot. And so less English is spoken. Now I'm good at transactional English, which means I can, you know, read a menu and decide what I want and ask how much something costs or ask where the bathroom is, that sort of thing. But to have a nice conversation with someone, the language barrier is definitely an issue. And so it's great for travel, but if you're going to settle down somewhere like this, you'd want to pick up some more Spanish. And the other thing I've noticed is that when you're in the Philippines, you see all these older retirees with younger Filipinos. You don't see as much of that here in Mexico, and I'll cover that in dating. But anyway, those are some comments I wanted to make. Okay, so the other thing I've noticed is that here in Mexico, there's more going on at night. In the Philippines, people are still a little bit more hiding, and that's you know, wearing the masks and not going out at night too much. You'll see them out in the day in the markets, but they're not out in the nightclubs, that sort of thing. It's not like crazy busy here yet, but there's more of a nightlife here in Mexico. That's the other thing you notice. But there aren't as many English women speaking women that you can talk to here, so that's a negative. So those are some positives and negatives. Okay, let's get in. I'll cover the main issues as I show you videos or pictures from both countries. Here we go. In this report, we cover Mexico or the Philippines. Which is better to retire early cheap? Make sure to stay until the end when I cover dating and the cost of living. But don't take notes. I'll provide a link to everything in writing at the end of the video. Medical. According to the WHO study that included not only the quality of healthcare but accessibility based on the ability to pay, Mexico was ranked 61 out of 191 countries, and the Philippines was ranked 60th. Of course, both countries have widely different levels of care depending on how much money you have and whether you are in a large city or the provinces. The USA was ranked 37th in the survey because the healthcare quality is relatively high, but some Americans can't afford insurance or the cost of care. So for Philippines and Mexico, medical is a tie. Okay, safety. Mexico has 19.6 murders per 100,000 people per year. The Philippines has 11.2 murders per 100,000 people per year. Just for reference, the United States has 5.5 murders per 100,000 people per year. To really understand the risk of crime, you need to drill down into neighborhoods, because country totals have almost nothing to do with whether or not you will be a victim of crime. in the area you decide to stay in each country. So decide which area you're interested in for each country and find out the crime rates there. The Philippines is safer than Mexico, depending on the neighborhood. If you're finding any value in this video, could you please like, comment, share, or subscribe? That would move us up in the search rankings and help us grow our channel. Thank you so much. Okay, what about COVID-19? According to Johns Hopkins University in the US, Mexico has 73,000 deaths with a population of 126 million people, which is 579 deaths per million population. The Philippines has 4,930 deaths with a population of 179 million, which is 49 deaths per million people. The United States has 200,000 deaths with a population of 328 million, which is about 609 deaths per million people. Link provided. The Philippines wins the COVID-19 game. Foods. Food's a matter of personal preference. Your favorite meal may not appeal to me, but if we judge this matter globally, we'll see that Mexican food has traveled all over the world. You'll find Mexican food restaurants even in the average sized towns around the world. Yet it's not unusual for even large cities to not have even one Filipino restaurant around the world. However, if you love fish and sausage, the Philippines may be your preference. The downside of Mexican food is that it's a diet high in carbohydrates, so you may put on weight too quickly. Large cities and tourist cities in both Mexico and the Philippines often have international restaurants, but you often have to pay double or triple of what the local cuisine would cost. Okay, what about infrastructure? According to the World Bank, the overall infrastructure ranking for Mexico is 71st in the world, with the Philippines ranked at 113th country. For perspective, the USA infrastructure is ranked at 10th worldwide. Links provided. Okay, what about language? 12.9% of the population of Mexico speaks English. 58.2% of the population speaks English in the Philippines. 95.46% of the population speaks English in the USA. As you may expect, more people in tourist areas of both the Philippines and Mexico speak English. So the Philippines wins the English language game. Okay, per capita income. According to the World Bank, the per capita income for Mexico in 2019 was $9,863 in US dollars, whereas the per capita income in the Philippines that same year was $3,485 US. So Mexico has a more advanced economy in general. Link provided. Okay, cost of living. The Philippines were ranked 80th in the cost of living index by country for 2020. Mexico was ranked 119th. That means, although Mexico has doubled the GNP, gross national product, of the Philippines, the cost of living in Mexico is lower on average, according to Numbeo. Numbeo cost of living index link provided. Okay, dating. The Philippines wins in the dating category. That is certainly true if you are an English speaker, because many people in the Philippines will be able to speak English with you. Plus, many of my subscribers are of retirement age and would like to date younger Filipinos. It's not unusual to see much older foreigners with younger Filipinos, but that's not as common in Mexico. But if you do fall in love with a Mexican and like to travel, Mexicans have a much more powerful passport, so they'll be able to travel with you. That's the next subject, passport power ranking. A Mexico passport holder can fly to 78 countries without a visa. The Philippines passport holder can fly to only 49 countries without a visa. Okay, click more information in the description below this YouTube video to get my written notes for Mexico or the Philippines, which is better to retire early. While at that link, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 years, and browse through our catalog of 50 plus retired cheap reports, including tricks, tips, and reports available at Vagabond Buddha, including reports on the cost of living in the Philippines and in Mexico for individual cities. My goal is to make this channel better every day, but I need your help. Please leave your new topic ideas, criticism, and other thoughts in the comments below this YouTube video. This is Dan from Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for vagabondbuddha.com. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner?